The Memphis Grizzlies are probably one of the teams that I am the most excited about for next season. I want to dive into that in this video. If you enjoy it, smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Let me just start off by saying Ja Morant, he is their unquestioned leader. He is the engine that drives this team. And as much controversy that he has been in over the past couple of seasons and dealing with the injuries and everything of that nature, I think this time away will have rejuvenated him in a way that I don't think a lot of people are really factoring in. I've said it many times before that many of these young players are playing nonstop from high school to college to going into the pros. And many of them end up dealing with a lot of overuse injuries, whether it's to joints, lower leg injuries, strains, tendonitis, different things like that, that are really just from the wear and tear that comes from playing at a high level competitively year after year after year after year. Well, when you get a couple of seasons off in your young, burgeoning career, what it allows you to do is to really get your body right, really refine your skills, really begin to sit down and evaluate the game and who you are as a man playing this game for these NBA players. And the reason why I said as a man is because many times they are transitioning from adolescence into manhood, into this responsibility of, for many of them, going into fatherhood in their early 20s and really learning themselves in real time in front of the cameras. And I think we've all seen a lot of that from Ja, but I think what we're not factoring in is what happens when maturity sets in. What happens when you begin to get a sense of who you are and who you are desiring to be as a man, as a leader, as a captain, as somebody whom others are looking to be responsible and to light the path and the way to go. And I think this time away will allow Ja to be able to come back 10 times better just from a leadership mental standpoint. He's always understood the game. He's always played it at an extremely high level. He's always had immense talent and skill and ability. But I think what we're going to see him do is he's going to come back as a better leader, as a better man that people can trust and follow and understand and say, lead us to the promised land, lead us all the way to an NBA Finals berth, which I don't think the Memphis Grizzlies have ever had. And I'm going to tell you what my forecast is for them at the end of at the end of this video. I think the next players that I want to take a look at is Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. They have had, for the better part of the last two seasons, an opportunity to hold the reins to be the leaders of this team, to be the offensive and defensive focus points and fulcrums of this team. And both of them performed admirably. I don't think that either of them, you look at them and say, like, oh, they don't need Ja Morant. They can win without him. But I think you see them as pieces to where, man, when you put a Ja Morant next to them, they only amplify. They become that much better. Desmond Bane and his shooting, scoring ability on the ball, off the ball has improved immensely. His ability to get to the rim and create shots for himself and others has also taken a huge step forward from the last time we saw them playing with Ja Morant consistently. And Jaren Jackson Jr., similarly, not just as a scorer or defender, but also as a leader on this team. Someone who went from being one of the youngest guys in the league coming in out of uh, Michigan State University to now being one of the leaders of his team. He's no longer the rookie. He's no longer the young guy. He's no longer, the one figuring out the NBA ropes. He's figured it out. He knows who he can be in this league and how dominant that he can be. Now, the great part about it for the Memphis Grizzlies is both are on amazing contracts, which I want to get into in a little bit. But then the supporting cast that they've also been able to bring in as well, from Derrick Rose being able to play more of that mentorship role, along with Marcus Smart. These guys, I think, are great additions. Brandon Clark is also finally back healthy and ready to go. Now he would have had a whole offseason healthy, which I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in with a little bit more of an expanded offensive game. But he should still be his regular impactful self that you're able to play in different types of a mixed style lineup. And then you have the emergence of the two young fellas, Vince Williams and Gigi Jackson. Vince Williams is looking like another Herb Jones. He's looking like one of those steals that you get in a draft where you had no idea just how good he was going to be. And I don't think he really emerges as this good unless he had the opportunity because of all the injuries between Zaire Williams going down and everyone else. All of a sudden, Vince Williams is in this playmaking two-way wing type of a role, showing his length and athleticism, his ability to stay in front of his offensive player, guarding the other team's best player, and just showed immense potential. And you can only imagine having him next to um, a Ja Morant, next to a Jaren Jackson Jr., just what that can do for this team defensively. And also finally having somebody that you can align next to a Desmond Bane and say, hey, he's got the other team's best perimeter defender. You don't have to worry about that. And then with Gigi Jackson, this young man, he is so talented. And at only 18 years old, his ceiling is just through the roof. I think Gigi Jackson truly is the wild card on this team. If he takes another step forward and is able to be that consistent offensive threat coming in off the bench, this team could be outright scary. Now you're going to also have Zaire Williams coming back. You still got Luke Kennard. You still got Derrick Rose. Right, this team has depth, and I think that the final piece is going to be what they do during this offseason and draft. Personally, I look, everything in me is telling me as good as Donovan Clingan can be for this team, I like Zach Edey better. What we saw from Zach Edey playing for the Canadian national team, which I really hope he does again. I sincerely, man, I hope he plays in these Olympics and can be a starting center for them and just get that experience playing with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, playing with Dylan Brooks, playing with R.J. Barrett, playing with Jamal Murray and Andrew Wiggins. I mean, playing with a Tristan Thompson and Kelly Olynyk. You know, I mean, they are just going to be so incredibly talented and deep. Playing amongst those guys in a winning atmosphere, I think is going to transfer amazingly to his rookie year, especially if he's drafted to a team that's ready to win now. And I think that that type of size, not just that type of size, but from all accounts in the draft combine, he trimmed down even more. He still has that strength, but he's as mobile as ever. And I think that the difference in what we saw between Donovan Clingan's defensive ability and even passing versus a Zach Edey, I think has more to do with the roles that they had versus the ability. I think Zach Edey can also have a similar defensive presence, but I also think he's more durable than Donovan Clingan has been throughout his early, collegiate career going into the NBA. I don't think Clingan projects as a guy who can crack over 30 something minutes. I actually do see Zach Edey as somebody who can. I think Zach Edey can become another Jonas Valanciunas, right? Type of center where he plays on the interior, he can defend the rim, sets great screens, good basketball IQ that allows him to be maximally effective, a big time rebounder, guy who can eat up a lot of space. And I think that that's something that this team has been missing ever since Steven Adams left. And so I'm a big Zach Edey guy for the Memphis Grizzlies. But either way, they can't go wrong. And if somehow they can get a hold of Jonas Valanciunas from the New Orleans Pelicans, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Look, I would have them more like 100% where I'm kind of beginning to lean towards. They're going to be a top 3 seed in the Western Conference next season. They're going to be a top 3 seed. Ja Morant is going to have an MVP type performance. I actually hope he gets back to the Ja Morant we saw early in his career, where he was more of a facilitator, distributor than he was the guy trying to score 25 to 30 points a game. I think he's better served in this team as somebody who's getting everyone involved, especially early throughout the game, and then he can be a closer. That's what I'm actually hoping for them. That's what I'm actually seeing forecasted as what can really put them over the top. Because when you have a Ja Morant just absolutely shredding your defense and then creating open looks for Jaren Jackson Jr. from three and Zach Edey on a lob, or a Desmond Bane, and they're getting out in transition. And he's locking in on defense, and then when that fourth quarter comes, he's like, "Okay, guys, I got it from here." He pulls that Derrick Rose. Okay, guys, I'm good. I got it. And I think that's where we see a true MVP emerge, where he's averaging 12 plus assists. All right. And he's the closer. 22 to 24 points a game. He doesn't need to get to 30. I think Desmond Bane, Jaren, everyone else will be a part of getting them there, right? But either way, this team is going to be absolutely scary. But as always, I want to know what you all think. What do you think of this roster construction? What do you think of this team? What do you think Ja Morant's going to do next year? How good do you think the Memphis Grizzlies can be? Get at me in the comment section. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And I'm out. Peace.